Hi friends! Welcome back. If this is your first time here, hello! My name is Julienne Marié. I'm a certified personal trainer. I'm so glad to have you here. Today we're going to be talking about actually. So, I had a different plan for the video that I wanted to put out for you today, but I actually went hiking at the Hollywood sign. You know, moved to California, you gotta hike for the Hollywood sign. So I went and I did that hike and I had no idea, and I hike all the time. I love hiking. It was a very fun hike for me, but it was also a very tall hike. I think that it was one of the tallest hikes that I've ever done, just because that incline just hits you. So while I was doing this hike, I thought, you know what, I should make a video about hiking in high altitudes for long periods of time. Because I think that a lot of people, when I was out, I would see people on the hike that were, they were grooving, having a great time like me, and there were other people that were just dying out there. And I was like, you know what, let's make a video about tips for hiking in high altitudes. So that's what we're doing today. Okay, so tip number one. Tip number one is gonna be water. Which might be like, duh, of course I'm gonna bring water. But a lot of people forget to bring water on hikes, which is crazy to me because especially when you get into high altitudes, it's gonna become harder for you to intake as much oxygen. The air changes as you get higher up. Your ability to take in oxygen gets harder. You can only take in so much. So being able to drink water to make sure that you are giving your body what it needs, keeping your body as strong as possible, so that when you get to those higher levels, you're not, freaking the fuck out. That's important. And having enough water. Don't come out there with a very tiny water bottle, especially if you're going to be hiking for long periods of time, because it's important to take water all throughout your hike. As you're going through, take some at the beginning. As you get a little bit tired, drink some more. And you're supposed to be drinking water as you sweat. I like to think about when I go for any sort of workout and I sweat, the amount of water that you're sweating, you want to replace that, because if you don't replace that, that's going to lead to dehydration, and we don't want that, especially in hot weather. Even in cold weather, you just don't want to be dehydrated. You want to be as strong as possible, basically. Yeah, so just make sure that you have enough water to replenish yourself throughout that lengthy hike. Tip number two, and all of these are important. Like I say, oh, this one's so important, but they're all so important. Tip number two is dress appropriately. Oh my God, dress appropriately, please. So, and this is for if you're going in, extreme cold weather or extremely hot weather, you want to make sure that you are dressing appropriately. If you are going in hot weather and you're wearing dark clothing, first off, that's a big no-no. You want to wear lightweight clothing with light colors. No layers. Don't do layers. Make sure that you want it to basically feel like you're wearing as little as possible, and that doesn't mean wear as little as possible. You can wear lightweight clothing, like if you're conservative, wear lightweight clothing that is long. You can do that. Just make sure that it's lightweight, because you want to be able to be out there and not have to worry about things as simple as clothing. You're going on your hike, you want to have a good time. If your clothing is something that's restricting you, if it's soaking in all of that sweat that you're feeling and then making you feel even more sweaty, it's just not a good look. You want to be the best that you can be. And to reverse that, if we're hiking in extreme cold weather, layers. Layers, layers, layers. And do the layers right. When you're hiking in cold weather, you want to wear at least 3 layers, and those layers should be the inner layer, which should be something that is tight, very, not like constricting, but it should be lying against that body, basically hugging it, which will basically, help keep that body insulated and warm and not have the air seeping in. And then you want to have a layer, that middle layer, that is obviously not as tight as that, inner layer, but it should still be something that is, fitting to the body, something that can help keep that cold air away. And then you want your outer layer, that jacket. Make it a good jacket. If you're in cold weather, don't come out here with the fall jacket, don't come out here with the jean jacket. Be smart about it. Materials like polypropylene, polyester, wool, and silk are great for cold climates. So if you're going to exercise in a cold climate, go for those textures. And also make sure in cold climates you're covering your extremities. I know that I'm from the East Coast originally, and when the winter time would come around, if I didn't have gloves on, I was dying. And the thing is, where I'm in the East Coast is cold, but there are places that are much colder that I know people exercise in. So make sure you're preparing yourselves, getting good gloves, good scarf, a hat, cover all those extremities just to make sure that you don't have to worry about the weather and you can just enjoy your experience of working out. Okay, next tip. You want to familiarize yourself with emergency sickness. What I mean by that is if you are in extreme heat, familiarize yourself with the warning signs of heat exhaustion and heat stroke. Also familiarize yourself with what to do if that does happen to you. Especially if you're by yourself and you start to experience things like this, you want to know. And a good way of doing this is also just to keep track of how your body is feeling the whole time that you are hiking, especially if it's a long hike and you're doing it by yourself. You want to make sure that you are accountable for yourself. You have no one to be accountable for you if you're by yourself. And if you have a buddy, if you're doing it with someone, communicate with them. If you're like feeling not so good, let them know. If you need to slow down, let them know. It's about, enjoying yourself when you're out there, having a good time. And if you're pushing yourself too far, you could be really affected by that. So familiarize yourself with the signs of heat exhaustion and heat stroke. And if you're in cold weather, familiarize yourself with the signs of hypothermia and frostbite. All of them are very serious conditions that once they happen, you need to act quickly to, prevent major catastrophe. It seems like a lot of things to familiarize yourself with, but once it's in your head, it'll be that thing where you're like, oh, okay, I'm starting to feel this sort of way. I can counteract it so you can stop it before it even happens. And that's what we want. Preventative measures. My next tip, go slow. So this is something that whenever I go on hikes, I try not to go too fast. I'm always there about the nature. So when I go on hikes, I'm walking and I do like to pause every now and then just to look around and really appreciate everything that's around me, all of this beautiful nature, all that I came out to really see. It's important to do that, not just to, enjoy things, but to make sure that you're not pushing yourself too hard. A lot of the times when you're on a hike, especially one like the Hollywood sign, where, you really want to get up there, see the Hollywood sign, get your selfie, take that picture. A lot of the times we can be rushing because we want to get to that end result where, we can be impatient, and I understand. But why not enjoy the journey? If we push ourselves too far, you might not even get to that top spot. You might have to stop, turn around, and go back. And that's not what we want. Really go slow. Give yourself time to appreciate what's around you. Give yourself time to relax. Give yourself time to drink water. All of that stuff. It's so important. You want to make sure that when you're out there, you're treating yourself the best that you possibly can. Next tip, so stretch. And I don't know why I put this at this point in the video. I feel like this should have been the first thing that I said, but you should make sure that you stretch, honestly, especially at the beginning of the hike, at the end of the hike, make sure you stretch. If it's a long hike, if it's a hike in high altitudes, you're gonna be doing a lot of basically, not climbing, but climbing actions. Your knees, your feet, your legs are gonna be putting in some work. So you wanna make sure that you are stretching before you actually go on this hike. Give yourself a couple minutes, at least I would say 3 to 5 minutes of just stretching at the beginning, stretching all the parts of your body that you're gonna use, your hamstrings, your glutes, your calves, even your feet. Just give everything a little bit of love, because you might think that you're fine, think, oh yeah, we're just walking, I'll be fine, but you have no idea how strenuous the hike can be until you really do it. And as you're doing it, who knows, maybe you're walking and you make a mistake and you sprain an ankle, or you sprain something, or you pull something because you didn't stretch. That's something that, could really negatively affect you, especially if you're by yourself and, you pull something and you're like, oh, I'm by myself and I have to get back down. How do I do that? And also is a thing where if anything does ever happen to you on a hike where you pull something or you feel injured, because I am so sure that happens, really, there's gonna be someone else on the hike. If you're going by yourself, you're gonna pass by someone. Really reach out to other people to help you if you're ever feeling bad. If you're ever oh, something's going wrong, I need help, feel free to ask anybody. People on hikes are notoriously very nice. Every time I go hiking, when I see people, they're just hey. I think people are happy that we're all doing the same thing. We're all out here hiking, being strong and healthy. Everyone's hell yeah. So when you're on that hike, feel free to ask anybody for any sort of help that you may need. Yes, we're in COVID times, but hey, that's what masks are for, man. And when it comes down to it, you're, if you're injured, reaching out to someone for help is only gonna help you. Next tip number 6, I'm actually not sure which tip number this is. It could be 5. You know what? I'm not counting. Okay, so this tip is to pack light and pack smart. So if you are going on a hike, you definitely want to have something with you. Don't like come empty-handed to a hike and have nothing, because that's not smart. You want to at least have water, and you want to make sure that you're having like the right kind of bag with you. When I was on my hike, I saw some people with like purses that were going like over their shoulder, like some big purses that were just holding like this on their side, and I'm like, what? We're on a hike. What are you doing? For me, whenever I go hiking, I have a drawstring little like pack, and I put it, over my shoulders. It hangs behind me like a very small backpack, and I put only the things that I know I need. I have my water, I have my phone, I have my my headphones are in my ear, and I have my wallet. And then sometimes I have a little like rag to like wipe if I have any sort of sweat. But I really just keep it at that. Really think about where you're going, what you're doing, and what you honestly need in that bag. Don't put too much in it. Usually, you go to a hiking trail, you park, and then you go. So feel free to take anything out of your bag that you don't need. Because when you're going on a hike, and especially when it starts to get to that place where you're a little bit tired, it's getting a little bit strenuous, you're not gonna wanna think about, oh, I'm holding this bag, this heavy bag, and I have to hold it the whole way. No. Take away any sort of stress that could be put on your body during this hike, because you just want to enjoy the hike. You want to not worry about that. So give yourself less worries. Okay, this is my last tip, and honestly, I want to say this is the most important tip. Know your limits. It can be hard when you're on a hike, especially if, you want to get to that end place. You really do. You want to feel like you accomplished that, but just going on the hike alone, just, walking on that hike, that is accomplishing something. Know that. You don't need to finish it in order to feel validated. It's more important. Your health, your body, your life is so much more important than finishing a hike that might be too much for you. Think about your body the whole time as you're going on this hike. Think about how you're feeling. Think about it. And really, if you're starting to feel like, sometimes we get tired, that's okay. Sometimes we get a little bit fatigued. Take a rest, that's fine. But if you get to that place where you honestly know, I can't do much more of this, then turn around. Especially because when you think about a hike, it's forward and back most of the time. As much as you walk forward, you're gonna have to turn around and walk that whole way back. So really, think about what your limit is, and if you know that you've hit it, stop. It's okay to stop. It really is. Okay everyone, so those were my tips on hiking in high altitudes. Obviously there were certain things in this video that, I said in small details, things like what to do, like when, heat exhaustion, all that sort of thing. I didn't go deep into those details because that could be a whole nother video. But I think we talked about a lot of great things today, things that I hope you all will keep in mind when you're going hiking. I know in California, at least, the weather is actually starting to get warmer, so a lot of people are out hiking. So really just, think about what really makes sense for when you're hiking. And if you're in colder climates and you want to hike, think about what the best thing for you to do when you're on that hike is, because we're all just out here to have a good time, to be healthy, to enjoy life, and I want us all to be able to do that. So keep these tips in mind for sure. Thank you so much for listening to this video. Feel free to like, comment on this video, subscribe to my channel, of course, and follow me on social media. I'm on Instagram at Julienne Marié. Bye everyone. I hope that you get out there, go get some sun, and have a great rest of your day.